If you're like me and was very curious about what the medical interview process was like, you've probably had a search online already and realized that a lot of the sources are either outdated or quite general. So today I'll be sharing with you guys exactly what my Monash MMI interview experience was like. Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. For those of you who are new here, my name is Darren. I just completed my second year of medicine at Monash University and I'll be heading into my third year and the beginning of my clinical placements next year. If you haven't yet, please check out some of my previous videos on how to prepare for the medical interview and particularly the Monash MMI interview. I have videos out on general preparation, on how to have impressive content, on how to have a clear structure, and also videos where I give my answers to scenarios and some common interview questions as well. For today's video, I'll be sharing my experience with the Monash MMI interview. Monash Medicine was the only medicine course that I applied to, and I sat the interview in early 2021 after I'd graduated in 2020. The interview was held on Zoom, which is exactly the same as this year's Monash Med interviews as well, and I think that the process of this online interview will be quite similar to other unis holding their interviews online as well. With the video, it will be split into 3 parts. In the first part, I'll just be talking about what happens when you enter the Zoom. In the second part, I'll be talking about the station, so the bulk of the station, the 2 minutes reading time and the 8 minutes writing time, 8 minutes responding time. And in the third part, I'll be talking about what happens at the end of the station if you have a bit of time left or if not. Enjoy. Firstly, what happens when you enter the Zoom? You can join the Zoom a little bit earlier, but you won't be let in until the host decides so. When you enter the Zoom, the test doesn't start immediately. So you're not immediately thrust into the first station with the first prompt. At least that wasn't the case for me. What happened for me was that I was in a room with the 5 other participants for the interview. Because there are 6 stations and you end up rotating, I'll explain that later, there are 6 participants in that opening room. As with the logistics, I think there were announcements at the top of the screen, but I think there was also a supervisor that came in and spoke to us briefly. So the important part here is that you are with the other test takers and do whatever makes you feel more comfortable before this interview. If you like keeping to yourself and being relaxed, then that's fine as well. Just stay muted and don't talk. But if you like speaking to others, then feel free to unmute and gauge the situation. Just do be understanding that some people are really nervous and just won't talk, even if you talk first. For me, I did speak particularly to, I think, one other person. One other person was the main other person I spoke to, mainly because he unmuted himself and spoke and everyone else wasn't really saying anything. And I thought that wasn't that good, so I sort of had a brief conversation with him. But the important part is do whatever makes you feel most relaxed before the actual interview. It can be a little intimidating seeing the other test takers. There may be people you know, which is nice, I think. But the main point is don't be too intimidated or too nervous and just make sure you're in a really good mindset before the interview begins. Secondly, what happens in the bulk of the interview and of the station. I will have a document summarizing the important parts of this video in the conclusion of this video, so please check that out when you arrive at it. With the actual interview, you'll be placed into breakout rooms. Remember, 6 test takers, 6 breakout rooms, and you'll cycle through those stations. There may be a bit of overlap, but shouldn't really happen too much. The interviewers also change, just be prepared for them being more formal or more casual or in different environments as well. With the actual station, there are 2 minutes of reading time and 8 minutes of responding time. The 8 minutes includes the interviewer asking the questions and includes all 5 questions for the Monash MMI as well. Something people don't expect is that the prompt for the reading time is usually screen shared or pasted in the chat. It may be up for the whole duration of the station. It may be up just for the reading time. However, the questions, so the 5 questions for the station, are usually recited. So you won't have them in the chat and the person will just say it. As always though, ask for clarification if you're unsure about something. Don't base your answer on an uncertainty or a semantic or something ambiguous. Always ask for clarification. Ask if they can reshare the prompt. Ask if they can repeat the question. And just make sure you have certainty before answering your questions. Finally, what happens at the end of the station? Now there are 3 possibilities here. You could finish ahead of time. You could finish just as the breakout rooms change, or you could be unfinished and the breakout rooms changed. So with the last 2 possibilities, if you finished exactly as the breakout rooms changed, then great, you move seamlessly into the next station. If you haven't finished, then they still move you because it's set to a really rigid time limit. The important case here is if you've finished ahead of time. So if you have a little bit of time left, the interviewer may ask you whether you have anything to add, or you may have sat there in silence for a period of time and you feel like you have something to add. So in this time, I would encourage you to add things that you think are substantial. You can ask the interviewer to repeat questions if you felt some questions were weaker. And if you have things to add, I would say opt to say them rather than not saying them. So I understand that saying them may seem like you've lost a bit of structure. It may seem like a tacked on thought, but I think the interviewer sort of has a main idea of you anyway, and this is just adding a little more content to your answers you already have. So in general, I would probably advise you to add whatever new thoughts come into your head and also consolidate your previous answers as well. Thank you guys for tuning in to today's video. Here's the document as promised. Good luck for your medical interviews. Leave any questions you have in the comments below. I wish you guys a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I'm actually recording this on Christmas Day at the moment, so I'm not sure when this will be released, but have a wonderful holiday. Continue enjoying your holidays, and I look forward to seeing you all next time.